well done, Maestro.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlight from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness, praise for that garden, spread in completeness, where is he passed? Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, he is our flame. Praise for elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
What a beautiful morning this has just broken and come to our awareness. As I look out into this room at my family, oh, we're a sordid bunch. We are as different. There are some of us here today. This is a very special day as we celebrate the ascension of the Christ, Easter Sunday. Very sacred. To others, maybe this is the day that elusive little bunny sneaks into our grandchildren's living room and leaves these delightful gifts of ultra energy. And then there's maybe those of us who, this is just a beautiful spring day. New life is coming. In my backyard, I have like 7 families of bluebirds and 3 big piles of brush that I cut last year. And they have been, it's like Home Depot for the bluebirds. They've been in there bringing supplies home to build their nests for spring. And then perhaps there are others of us who maybe today's not a whole lot like yesterday, or not any different than yesterday, or maybe not too different from tomorrow. But no matter how we think of this day, there are as many different perceptions and beliefs as there are people sitting in this room. My wish and my hope is that something in your experience and awareness today will allow you to have a smile on your face. Something in what you think, feel, or do today will allow you to feel a peace that the harmony of creation lets dwell inside of each and every one of us if we can just be aware of it. And I wish that each one of us in our experience today, what we feel, what we think, what we do, that something will allow us to experience joy. And on this beautiful spring Sunday morning, may we take that peace and that joy and that smile and share it with those around us today, tomorrow, and the next day. That's what this living thing's all about, my friends. And so it is.
Good morning. I got asked kind of at the last minute to stand in for a mini message, so it might not be as polished, but I'll do the best I can here. Normally I have kind of a theme of, what the universe is telling me that we need to talk about, and I just kind of pay attention and listen to what's going on out there. And what stood out for me was traditions. I went ahead and looked up the definitions because, Paddle oftentimes will give us plant a seed and then it's ponder that, right? I'll go look at what does that really mean. The root of the word tradition in the Old Latin, two parts of it, there was trans and dare, is a cross and give, so to give a cross. And it's in kind of evolution of the term, also there's a theme in here. That later words was tradere and traditio, and one is to deliver and betray. Funny that there's kind of a dark side to this, right? A tradition is a belief or behavior passed down within a group or society with symbolic meaning or special significance with origins in the past. It can also refer to beliefs or customs that are prehistoric with lost or arcane origins existing from time immemorial, way back in the past. Originally, the traditions were passed orally without a need for a writing system. But it's funny how traditions often is like, well, that's the way we've always done it. My other notes in here, a way of thinking, behaving, or acting that's been passed in a particular group, family, or society for a long time. Customs. There's this kind of take on a law or a correctness, right? Accepted but not written. Why? Just because that's the way it's always been done. But it's funny that the traditions, they can be family or greater societal things. Opening gifts on Christmas Eve because the parents were too impatient to wait, right? Some towns' tradition is to have the Easter egg hunt on the weekend before the holiday. Oftentimes these are passed on by word of mouth or by example. Often the stories or practices are accepted as historic, though not verifiable. So if you tell something often enough, the first time you tell it might have a little twist. It's like, oh, that's a fairy tale. But you tell it, man, it's gospel. It's in the book, right? Some of the services in these traditions, seva, which is a Hindu tradition, is volunteering work as an offering to God. It's a very rich season right now for many different groups of people. Passover was celebrated March 30th through April 7th. I got blessed to, it's not my heritage, even though my name would make you imply and think that I'm Jewish. I'm not. I wasn't brought up that way. I don't know anything about it. And yet some dear friends shared with me their service. And the Jewish people remember and commemorate the Israelites' escape from slavery in Egypt. With their Seder, a meal with specific foods and prayers, their oral tradition is shared, and their feelings of moving from suffering and despair towards hope and freedom are reenacted with family and community. Another tradition is abstaining from yeast, shametz was their word, and certain types of work. During the Exodus, it was a long march with much deprivation. So they have this celebration, and by retelling the story and reenacting these rituals, it cements that tradition and also a sense of unity. People of the Christian faith celebrate the execution of their Messiah by mob rule. Their week is the trial, crucifixion, entombment, and the miracle of finding the large stone rolled away from the opening of the cave, and the body missing with the burial shroud was left behind. Praise the Lord, hallelujah, he is risen. As a young child, I participated in those rituals and offering and retelling that story. This tradition celebrates the sacrifice of the Son of God, giving his life to save all people from death and sin, except for some who are of the worst sorts, and the Christian leadership decides who they are. Okay? The Orthodox Christians give up habits or foods during Lent to empathize with the suffering of Jesus and the early Christians. And in all of these, on Easter and Passover, great feasting is done to celebrate breaking that fast. Joyous, yummy, good times, right? The incorporation, when we have the Easter egg and laying the eggs and all the colorful this, it's like, how do eggs come from a bunny? And chocolate ones too, they're pretty good. But that was the incorporation of the pagan rituals of springtime. And so all of these different faiths have all this richness that happens right about this time. We're coming out of that darkness and the nastiness of all that rainy, suffering winter. Flowers are blossoming. It's cool times, right? So there's that twist on that betraying the traditions, right? When we break traditions, when you don't do what's been accepted, the old thing, you're going to get some stink eye and some disapproval. But, and that might be the consequences, but because you've strayed from the unbroken rules and laws, right? This is the way we've always done it. How dare you be different? But it only takes 3 generations to make a tradition. Or in the case of politics, there's invented traditions to suit them, suit whatever suits you today, right? The tradition of the white dress at wedding was because a monarch wore one at her wedding. That was in the 1900s. It wasn't centuries old. It's only 1 century. So 3 generations, that's all it takes to make change. One of the other traditions is that of civilization. That's only 2,000 or 3,000 years old. So when somebody tells you that this is the way we've always done it, ponder that, right? But today, may you go home and celebrate the traditions that give you joy and satisfaction in the ways you do. And if they don't suit you, change them. Namaste.
Thank you, Sabrina. And good morning and welcome to each and every one of you. It's a gorgeous day. And we have Michael with us again today. And he was playing every song that had April in it for our prelude this morning. So, and he stuck me on a couple of them, but most of them I know. Thank you. We've got announcements. We have Monday evening Monday evening healing circle.
7 p.m. right here.
Right here, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Thursday, this Thursday,
10 o'clock.
in the hall.
Next door.
Okay, that's our discussion group, ladies spiritual, that's where the spiritual book study group. All right. Starting next Saturday, the 15th, we are hosting Music to My Ears music school here in Katati. They have 9 adults that are going to be putting on a little play in our hall. And it's kind of a cool thing. It's free if you'd like to come. It starts at 7 o'clock next Saturday night. They ask for a donation and you can put some money in if you have it. If you don't, that's fine too. But it's just helping our arts be a real part of our day-to-day living and community experience that we have. So that's next Saturday night, 7 o'clock. The following Sunday, April 23rd, we are going to have our monthly potluck a week early because Mike Gerbil and his wife Jenny are moving to Minnesota or somewhere, I don't know, somewhere back east. Michigan, that's it. And thank you. And they're going to have a Bon Voyage party. So that's the 23rd, Sunday, potluck. And then April 29th, Saturday night, is our cabaret, community cabaret at the Oaks from 5 until 7. It's a free concert. This month we're going to have a group called Stony Point. And many of you have been to our groups, our cabarets where we have the Bluebirds and really enjoy the Bluebirds. If the curtains were pulled, you wouldn't know the difference between the 2 bands. I mean, they have their different, but it's the same kind of music. Get up and dance. It's old-timey rock and blues and folk music. The 29th, 5 till 7. It's free. Bring your own snacks. Bring beer, wine. Bring hummus casserole if you want. Whatever suits you. So that's on the 29th. The 30th. We will be having across the street over at the Katati Room the, 15th, 18th annual Old Time Chicken Barbecues put on by the Katati Historical Society. And we've got a sign for them out in our yard. And we won't be having chairs and tables in our hall that day because traditionally, ever since the first one, we've loaned our tables and chairs to the Hysterical Society so they could use them at the Old Time Chicken Barbecue. But the museum will be open. They have bands, they have a car show, they've got all kinds of bake sales, they've got a silent auction thing. It's just a great fun day to have, so we invite all of you to participate in that. Wow. Now, have I left anything out? That's just for the month. Okay. Any other announcements? Joan, the flowers, are we doing okay on the flower sign-up sheet?
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, that's good. And if you'd like to,
May now.
what's that?
We can start May now.
Okay, well, we got May and July. Maybe you want to bring flowers in July, or maybe Christmas flowers, or maybe Thanksgiving flowers. The calendar's right inside this door in the hall. Just sign up whenever you like. Okay, anything else? Then we're going to stand up and sing I Love Myself. Oh, Bonnie.
Do we have to have tickets for that, or do we pay to do it?
The Old Time Chicken Barbecue, it's $25 at the door. It's $20 in advance. And if you look at the newsletter or somebody, if you want to know, talk to me and I can get you tickets by making a phone call. Okay? If you aren't a computer, do that. So we can get you tickets ahead of time for 20 or they're 25 at the door. Any other questions? All right, I love myself the way I am. There's 4 verses. Stand up and sing it like you mean it, folks.
Love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see the shining star. And I love you just the way you are. Love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am.
Now, if you are here for the very first time, do not be alarmed. But this is the time of our service when we greet each other in the traditional Church of the Oaks fashion, or however you may feel comfortable. All right, ladies. Wow.
It's a hug fest.
Huh?
It's a hug
A
fest.
hug fest.
Could use more of that in this world.
Yes, we could.
Tell me.
That's what our Inquiring Minds was about this week. I should have printed that out. You don't get that, do you?
I don't remember that.
It comes every Friday morning at 9 o'clock. It's an email I send out every week with a little thing. It's all about our connection and hugging and touching and how we connect with each other. Okay, you gotta sign up for it. It goes out, we've been doing it for about 14 years. Every Thursday night I do an article and then I send it out email Friday morning on mail.
I'll look into it and sign up for it.
If you go to Church of the Oaks
On the website.
and then where it says contact us, do that, and down at the bottom it says subscribe. That's what you subscribe to. We call it our inquiring mind. A paragraph or something to comment.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I didn't know about that till now. Great, I appreciate that. I'll take a look at it.
Hey, Nanda. I'm going to tell a little comment that I just received a little ago. They said, you know, this isn't people hugging each other. And Michael stood up, he said, this world needs a whole lot more of that right now. And I believe you are right, sir. How about a big deep breath? Just breathe in all the love and caring and acceptance that's in this room right this moment. Hold it for a minute and just absorb it. And then breathe out with all the extra love and caring and acceptance you have inside of you and continue to share it. Our only contract of membership is that we ask our members to promise to share their time and their talent and their thought and their treasure. Not only with Church of the Oaks, but with our community, with humanity, with our universe. And to that end, we don't pass a basket on Sundays. We have a basket in the back, but we like to all help each other work on the practice. If you want to share something, it should be your idea. You should make a conscious effort to share your time, share your smile, share your money, share your time. Share your knowledge, and that becomes a practice, an ongoing practice. And in so doing, you let the abundance and the prosperity of the entire universe flow through you, and it keeps you healthy, keeps you regular, and it helps our world. It makes makes our world go around with some sort of harmony and tranquility. So let's read together, if we may, the affirmation of abundance on the order of service. At least once in every day, may I shift my attention to become aware of the vast abundance that enriches my life every minute of every day. May we ponder that wisdom, sir. Thank you, Michael. We are so fortunate to have a gentleman like this share his gift of music with us Sunday after Sunday. Thank you.
Pastor,
Yes, sir.
if I may, I'm so glad I could make it to see you all this morning, but my pain level isn't going to allow me to stay. So I don't mean to interrupt, but I just gather up my stuff and I'll have to get back home and take care of myself. Sherry's gone this weekend, so.
Okay. Maury, it's really good to see you. Really good to see you. Maury's going through a lot of challenges right now, and for him to be here is just amazing. But we're glad you chose to come here instead of just staying home feeling crummy. We're glad you could come here and feel crummy
Well, I
too.
don't miss you
So,
all so much. I had something I was going to sing, but I just don't have to sing.
all right. All right. Well, thank you, Maury, and a happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter.
And it's all of you. Bye.
Maury and Sherry have shared their music with us for years and years and years, and it's a pleasure to see him. He's kind of been laid up for a while, so it's very nice to see him today. So as we prepare ourselves for our daily practice, let's sing together, "Be Still and Know That I Am God," number 69 in the Wings of Song.
Good morning. Really touched to see so many people here today, and I'm moved to begin today's practice by simply asking each of you to place your hands on your heart and from that infinite love and power within, send your healing, your love, your blessings to Maury and to Sherry. His being here today was no accident. He came to receive on every level, just as we all do. And what makes this community so powerful is the fact that we come together with one intention: to inhabit together this community that is beautiful, peaceful, and safe, so that all who come here, regardless of their spiritual philosophies, may feel the presence. Notice it expanding in you now. And send forth your invitation, your invocation at this time of renewal, when new life sprouts all around us. That even in the most difficult times, healing can be found. Feel the presence now of your loved ones in heaven, your angels, your ancestors, however you want to think of it. We can spend days debating whether we're each children of God, but one thing that is indisputable is that we are all children of this earth, made from her very molecules, and to her we shall return. Be humbled today by her generosity, giving you life and supporting it each and every day. Think about what you can do to return the favor. It might just be spend more time in gratitude. Easter blessings to you all. Namaste.
Natalie and Michael, thank you very much. I've kind of been stuck on a kick here about I called it a couple weeks ago, our quantum evolution that our universe seems to be going through. Both our planet and our humanity. And last week I spoke about how our level of intelligence is increasing at nanospeed, just wow. And at the end of the service, Joan came back and said, but what about emotion? Emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is kind of two different things, but I know exactly what she was talking about. Because, my friends, emotions, that's what drives the bus. We are emotional creatures who sometimes think. Stop and look back over our days where we get up, we go the same thing, we do this, we do that, and we watch the same programs, and maybe in that 24-hour period of time or 12 or 16-hour period of time that we're awake, we may spend 3 or 4 minutes having creative thought, actually making new decisions. The rest of the time, we're just kind of playing the same record. Yeah, we decide whether we turn left or right, which turns to the left, but that's kind of just going through the motions. But there's not a minute in your day that is not affected almost entirely by what you are feeling. I've quoted, I don't know how many times, Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, people may never, ever remember what you say or you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is so profound. Our whole lives are lived based on what emotions we are feeling. There are two people who I think they are the most understandable. They really know about emotions, but they are understandable. I can even understand what they say. They don't use all those huge big words that most philosophers and theologians use. And they are Brené Brown and Dr. Gabor Mate. If you look on your order of service, I've got their quotes here, so you can take it on. Look them up on YouTube. And if you really want to study and think about emotions, I encourage each one of you to, on HBO, Brené has a new series out. It's 5 40-minute sessions called Atlas of the Heart. It's on HBO. Or you can go to YouTube, and they don't have the televised documentary thing, the series, but you can read the audio book. It's free. You can watch excerpts on it. But she studies data, and they asked 7,000 people, describe your emotions that you have and name your emotions you have in your everyday life. Out of 7,000 people, the majority named 3. Happy, sad, and angry. She names 87 that we normally have. And it's amazing to go through these 87. Things like anxiety, fear, jealousy, it goes on forever. I can't remember them all. But she spends 4.5 hours explaining how these different emotions affect us in a negative or positive way. And Gabor Mate, I've been watching him for 20 years. He has lived his life by trial and error and learning. And he said that he's a doctor. And he said that Western medicine separates mental health from physical health. If you go to the doctor, well, we'll give you drugs to deal with your physical problems. And then you go to a whole different doctor and get drugs for your mental problems and counseling. And he said, no, we're one extremely complex creation. And our mental and our physical are totally engaged with each other. There is no difference except in what we choose to call it. But what we feel directly affects the conditions of our minds and our bodies, our immune system. And things like, you've heard me say, I don't know how many times, that hate and fear are actually diseases that affect everything in your body. They poison your mind. They poison your immune system. And these emotions, I'm so glad Joan brought it up last week, they literally control how we feel, how we think, and what we do. We like to think, well, our minds, we are thinking people. Now we're feeling people. And those feelings, they make us grumpy or happy. They allow us to have compassion and caring and understanding. And then sometimes we get to comparing ourselves to other people. Well, when we do that, we are just taking a pill that blocks all of the possible joy and satisfaction we can have in life. Because when we compare, we're actually saying we're not as good as other people, but I'll find some way that I'm actually better than him. I heard a poem when I was a kid that comes back to me. He was as good as me till he thought he was better than me, then he was worse than me. And I heard that when I was Ananda's age. And isn't that the truth? Emotions can also be exploited. I've told this story, some of you have heard it, that back in the late 60s, early 70s, sometime about that, my wife and I had a gospel group, and we actually were hired by Jimmy Swaggart Ministries to work in some of his things. And I got to know him a while. He'd have these big meetings in tents and auditoriums, and he'd tell me, he said, Patrick, he said, you always try to get them crying, because crying people write bigger checks than people that aren't crying. And if you watch Jimmy Swaggart, he'd get you crying 3 or 4 times, and he had ushers, 20 ushers with buckets, with 2-gallon galvanized buckets. And every time Jimmy started crying, that was their cue, pass the buckets. And we can be manipulated by our emotions. We are manipulated. Who's that Sarah gal that talks about the dogs and the cats? And I got nothing against dogs and cats. I think they're great. But she sings those songs. I cried. As soon as I get the tears, I'm going to find my checkbook and write them people some checks. Same thing. And even my hero, Wayne Dyer, from time to time, in all of his wisdom, he'd still kind of tell these stories that get you crying and use that emotion to help make his point. A few weeks ago, I was reading a poem and I got very emotional. And I'm very sensitive about that. And I think when emotion is genuine, I think it's okay. I was reading a poem about a homeless gentleman that lady right back there wrote. And it was a true story poem. But I hope that we can never, not in this place, use emotion to manipulate people. We all have emotion. We all tear up and we all get choked up sometimes. That's part of the life. That's part of what we're supposed to. That's why we have those feelings. And some of our emotions, fear, some of those are really good, but they're not supposed to last forever. Some people live their whole lives in fear, and they never get out of that little ball of poisonous fear. I encourage all of you to watch Brené Brown. If you don't have HBO, come to my house. We'll just get some pizza and we'll watch it. It's worth your time for you to become aware of how much emotions really affect every part of our lives. We just aren't aware of it on a day-to-day basis. We just go on with it. We get angry, and sometimes we carry it on for a while, and it kind of discolors everything else that happens after we get angry. And every one of us do, I promise you. And sometimes we are made to feel shame and guilt. We don't have to at all. When Sabrina was talking about tradition, I'm going to tell a story. I don't know if it's in the best taste or not. We had a fellow come here recently who's been coming. His name is Patrick Markovich, actually. A lot of people remember Patrick. Him and his wife came here. We are a non-religious church. We're a spiritual community. They came to us, and people in here, we have recovering Catholics, Methodists, Baptists, we have agnostic heathens and heretics. We have everybody as part of this family. And so Patrick and his wife came to us fresh out of the Jehovah's Witness church. And that's quite a change. But I'll tell you why they came. Patrick was studying to become, I don't know, an elder, one of the higher ranking people in the Jehovah's Witness church. And there was a young lady who came to that church, and they kind of fell in love. So they decided on the QT to move in together. The church found out about them. And while Patrick was giving one of his talkettes during the service, the Grand Poobah invited his girlfriend to come up, and they were banished from the church community. And they were told that they would wear forever the yoke of guilt and shame. And they came here. We don't have any of those yokes of guilt and shame. We just are glad they come, and we invited them to participate and be part of our family. No matter what color their hair was, no matter how much they weighed, no matter who they were living with, what their thoughts were, what their beliefs were, just be part of our family. And they have been. They've moved a little farther away. Patrick still comes once in a while. And it's like, we try to transcend that stuff. All of us feel guilty. All of us feel ashamed. I got some things I hope nobody ever finds out about in my past. Oh my God. But I don't live my life in that shame. I live my life in the warmth and the beauty and the light that exists in this family that we have here. And all of us can do that. I did an Inquiring Minds this week. It was all about being connected. And Gloria said a thing. She says that connection, that having interaction, discussion, touching. She said that's what I love about having fellowship after church on Sundays. It's a chance we can connect one-on-one, share conversations. You know, we do these emails things, and there's nothing in email. It's words on a screen or on a piece of paper. There's no real human energy attached to that. And our emotions and our feelings, that's what connects us together, my friends. It's our caring about each other, our loving each other, our accepting each other, our dependence upon one another. That's what connects us. And that's what this place, Church of the Oaks, is all about. Connecting us with each other, helping us to connect with the divine, the God that lives inside of each one of us. We've had a marvelous journey for the last 122 years that we have been in existence. We have evolved so many ways. We've been through wars and earthquakes and prohibition, and we barely survived prohibition. We've been through public awareness. Back in the 50s, our little house next door, our little parsonage building, was moved in, and the minister didn't want to live in it, so they decided they'd rent it out to some young kids struggling and stuff. A few months later, press Democrat. Church of the Oaks parsonage busted. Pot garden in the attic. They were growing, they had a great operation, and that grow room exists to this day. It's not a grow room, it's a storage place, but it's there. Quite a fancy grow. We have survived all of that. We have survived every kind of challenge, every kind of emotion, every kind of problem that could exist within a human family. And here we are on Sunday mornings. No matter how much grief or sadness or anger we feel, when we walk through those doors, we walk into this place and everybody truly gives a damn about each other. We really care. With all the lumps and bumps and bruises, we love each other because we are family. We belong here. We don't have to fit in here. We belong here. Fitting in is where you change yourself. You actually put your true self to the side so you can fit in with what you think people want to see. We don't do that here. We belong. With everything you bring with you, your real self, when you walk through that door, you are connected. And again, reunited with people that love you, care for you, people you can depend on, people you can ask for help on, and people who will share with you ideas that may expand your awareness on how you can get in touch a little more with that beautiful divine that's inside of you. I can't think of any group today assembled anywhere that is more fortunate than we are right here in this little redwood room. We are such a gift to each other. We are so connected. And maybe it's the first time you ever walked in the door, but you're part of us. Maybe we haven't seen you in a very long time. You're part of us, and you know that when you walked in. We haven't seen Maury in a while. He's part of us. He lives. His spirit lives in every one of us. That means, to me, when I think about that and I see it, and I see your heads nodding, and I see your smiles, and I see you looking at me, what we're doing here, it's working. Our awareness is elevating. And there's Charles. He just walks in. Welcome, Charles. We're glad to see you. He's part of us, too. We haven't seen Charles in a while, but we are all connected in this place. And that should remind us that when we walk out the door, look around, folks, we are connected to the people that live across the street, connected to the homeless folks camped out over by the highway. We're all human beings doing the very best we can. And when it comes to helping each other out, Washington and Sacramento aren't going to do that. They're going to go through the motions so they can keep their job. It's us that are going to make that happen. We're in the very infancy stages of creating a village network here in Cotati and Rohnert Park. I'm so excited because it lets us take on a whole new dimension, a whole new purpose of expanding our connection one-on-one with more people in our community. And again, emotion drives the bus. Thank you for reminding me, Joan. Emotion. Thinking and doing and thoughts and actions. They're in the back seat. They're ready to go whenever we tell them we can go. And they'll do whatever we're feeling. If we're angry, they can do some pretty rotten stuff. But if we're caring, if we're feeling empathy, compassion, we're feeling caring, we're feeling concern, they can do amazing things. I just thought, I thank Joan again for reminding me last week that emotions are one of the most important things that we need to expand our awareness of. And the more we know, the more we can manage our emotions and know what they're doing to us, whether they're helping us and building us up and allowing us to have creative thoughts. Curiosity is an emotion. Curiosity can allow your brain the freedom to have all kinds of creative thoughts. Break out of habits. Start new things. I hope you take your order of service home and read these quotes and look up these people in whatever fashion. They are worth listening to. I listen to people, I read things a lot. And these are two of the most on the beam folks that I'm aware of. And there's hours and hours to listen to them. It doesn't have to be about emotion. Anything they say is worth your time to listen to and will allow you the opportunity to improve the condition of your life. Wow. Michael's just sitting there grinning. He's part of us now. He's just in there. I'm going to do something different. Our order of service says Imagine, which is a great song, but I would like to change it in your Wings of Song, this one right here, page 210. It's a family of love. And I can't think of a better day this Easter sunny morning to sing a family of love. And I invite all of you to join us for coffee. There's some donuts and cookies next door. And have a little interaction. Experience some wonderful emotions as we go next door and celebrate our connectedness in this family of love. And so it is.